When did I get a message?
You have one new message.
Hey, JP, you fucking freak, we're partying. Where are you at? I'll chirp you later. Here's Sam.
Hey, JP, we celebrated the game tonight. Stop it.
Give me the phone. My name is JP. I'm a robot. I like robots. I have a robot vagina. I am not amused.
What up, everybody? DJ Nubis here with you on the Metal Time Radio Podcast with episode 8 of When I Raid Alone. Today, I'm going to talk more about Diablo 4. It's a game I've been playing a lot since June of this year. Even before that, when I was doing the pre-gaming, testing it out for the beta. Which, obviously through season 1 and up until recently, we were all testers anyway, not getting paid for it. But here we are with season 2 that kicked off here in October. And I got some pros and cons. Is Diablo 4 any good or any better than it was? Now, unlike many of the majority of the streamers who kind of like bailed and went off and did other gamings and stuff like that. I mean, I tested a few different games like Path of Exile, Dragonair, and some other ones, in which I may end up getting back to at some point. But right now, my focus is on Diablo 4. Probably one of the few that is really kind of doing more Diablo 4 content than other people, except for right now, because season 2 is so fresh and everybody's back into it. Everyone's streaming again. Back in there and coming back to the Blizz. But they all have their pros and cons as well of what they think is going on. Some of ours align, some of them don't. In terms of what I expect, I want versus what they want and expect. And some of it's the same, some of it's not. Let's get into what I think is a lot better with season 2. So obviously we had some issues with resistances and just like various things, unique drops, the ratio, the percentages, the horse is the first thing to mount. So obviously, before you could pretty much get on your horse and it would kind of slog along. And then if you hit like a pebble, it would stop you. Or a gate that, like as Asmund said, had 2 like skeletal warriors guarding it. You couldn't get past it unless you blew it. Now you can just run through it. Uh, so now the horse is much, much better, faster. You can get to point A to B quicker, and it's just a much better experience with the mount itself. There's still some pretty cool horse cosmetics, skins, and whatnot. So kind of get that through season 2, as well as if you're going to do the shop at all with the microtransactions, you can do that as well. As I mentioned, the resistances are now working. They're working as intended. But I'm going to put an asterisk there because I'm going to get back to that later on with some of my negatives about it. So in season 2, it's called Season of Blood, and basically you gain these vampiric powers. And there's probably about 20 of them, and they're kind of like grouped in a set of 5. So you can have 5 active at any point. And supposedly, as you go along and you level up to 3, now this is one thing I learned from watching. I think one of the other guys was it is true when I first started playing Season of Blood that when I was looking at the upgrading of those packs, they're called packs. When I was looking at that, it was telling me that I have like upgrade 2 of 10, but a day later or so, it maxed out at 3. So there apparently was a patch to limit how high those packs can get upgraded. I don't know the exact reasons for that. Maybe they felt like it would be a bit too powerful, but personally, I don't mind if you're too powerful. That's the whole point, really, for me. But either way, the vampiric powers are pretty cool. Some of them react in a way kind of like one of the ones I use for my sorcerer is kind of like the necromancer's like wraith run or whatever, where they just kind of shoot out of you and go kill things and explode. And that's really one of the cool aspects of the packs of vampiric powers. Um, Another thing was the blood harvest. Or blood harvest is amazing. It's a lot like the hell tides. Only this one you gain these blood lures, which you open up the blood harvest or other like portals that will, summon beasts that you can kill for certain types of items and whatever. But the cool thing about it is, one, you don't have to wait around for the blood harvest. It just moves periodically after about an hour to a different part of the map. So it's always active. Just you have to kind of move with it if you want to keep going with it. As you're doing blood harvest, which I would recommend if you're not gonna start the campaign all over again with your character and skip it if you already got like an eternal character that you've done. Just go with the blood harvest. That will level you up pretty quick. You can run the campaign and do all the little side quests, as everyone says. But I don't think it's really that necessary. Most of the fun that I have is within the blood harvest, and you can really just have a blast with it, just picking up. And then if you save all your blood lures, so I think it takes like 250, I think. Is that right? No, 150, excuse me. So 150 blood lures to open up the main blood harvest. And that one will summon a bunch of bosses. And like if you've been killing enough of the vampires and creatures out there, that these elite bounty hunters will come after you as well. So that's more added shit that you can fuck up and just destroy to get a lot of good drops and whatnot. The amount of gold that you can get from this season and so far with the patches is amazing. I have so much gold now that I'm happy. Like before, it was like, oh, I'm running out of gold because I have to respec or do this or that, and it costs way too much to do that. So thank you, Blizzard, for not like nickel and a diamond us with that shit again. So gold wise, plentiful, plentiful. Get shit done. Doesn't cost you an arm and a leg, and it's worth it. Now, my experience with season 2 so far is I did another sorcerer, which I really like that character. I'm up to level 76, so I'm already in the tier 4. I'm gonna get more into tier 3 and tier 4 in a little bit. Yeah, I'm having a blast, but I'm now coming at that wall again that I had with my Eternal Sorcerer, which is at 86. And so now we're going to kind of jump in a little bit to some of the negatives of what's going on with the game still. So there are alternatives to what I have to say here, and I'll kind of explain this as long as I remember. I know I have ADD, so sometimes I get sidetracked and I'll go off and I'll forget to come back to something. So I apologize in advance if I do that. This video is not going to be super long like my normal ones. I don't plan on spending like an hour and a half to 2 hours with this because, I do have some things I want to say, but I'm not going to just overwhelm people with like too much talk space. So, um, okay. So when you go into, leveling one to 50, fucking breeze, dude. It's a blast. It's really great. It's fast and moves fast, and you're just cruising along, doing your thing. Especially if you're around other people in the Blood Harvest, it just boom. And you also have the little board there, the Season of Blood board. In the Blood Harvest, as you're leveling up, you can get like all these rewards and stuff, which is really good. So, and it's not like something that's hard to reach. Like I've already filled it out. I'm done. I've got it all. Actually, even with the I don't know what you call it, the how you get like each if you were to buy like a battle pass, right? So I did purchase one with the silver or whatever I had and got this year. So I've already completed that as well. I didn't do the super premium one. I didn't need to do that, but even just a basic one, you get a lot of cool like stuff for other characters like axes and swords and stuff like that. So pretty happy about some of the cosmetics with that. I know some people don't care much about the cosmetic part of it, but I really enjoy that aspect of it. But the issue it happens is once you start like getting the tier 3 is not a big deal. The dungeon itself, the capstone dungeon, is a piece of cake pretty much once you're up around 50 or so, or even 70. Like I think I was eventually 70. Some people get in there like 40, and I don't know how they do it. But I'm assuming it's these like diehard streamers that know how to nickel and dime their builds, and they know exactly how to make them so powerful that they can probably just go beat Uber Lilith at level 40 and no one would care. Um, but for me and the casuals and the guys that aren't like super great at games as it is, um, getting to tier 3 not a big deal. Like I've never had any problems getting past in the tier 3 to the nightmare dungeons. It's tier 4 that can be a bit of a problem. And maybe it's tier 4, I think that you need to be 70 or plus. So some people get in there around 60 or 65. I tried at 68. Fucking Elias beat my ass. I hate that motherfucker. However, I got up to around 72, went back in there, and I did beat him. So I feel better about that. Now, the question is, and this is something I'm going to talk about at length because when I went with my Eternal Realm Sorcerer to beat Elias, and I think I was 70 then, and I had a friend with me, we were able to finally beat Elias and get past into tier 4. If I was 72 by myself with my Eternal character, trying to do Elias right now, I'm not sure I can still beat him. Like, I think there's problems there, and I'll get to it later, but because the vampiric powers add so much more to the dynamic of your character in Season of Blood, that add to a way I can kill things much better, and even Elias. So I was able to get into tier 4, but the one issue I would have now, you can go into the chats and ask people to give you a hand. Like I did give one guy a hand getting into tier 3 a while back. You can ask, hey, can you give me a hand with Elias or whatever? You're just kind of hoping somebody might or might not help you. I actually asked for some help. No one really answered, but I went in and beat him anyway. But one thing that I've talked about at length is I wish when it comes to the capstone dungeon or even dungeons in general, like, we all know you can have a clan if you have a bunch of friends online, you can group together and go do these dungeons and stuff, and you won't have any issues. But for some of us who don't have a lot of friends online that play this, or don't have a lot of time to spend to kind of like build a community with people, like I don't really talk to much people on there. So when you're going to try to like do certain things, certain bosses, whatever, it'd be kind of nice if you can queue for a dungeon, like just have people who are looking for similar things. Kind of like World of Warcraft, you want to queue up for a dungeon or a raid or whatever. It would be nice to be able to just go in, queue up. Other people who might be trying to get into tier 4 might come with you and then go do it. Now, I know the caveat to that was in the past, early on, people at lower levels were trying to just sit at the beginning of the entrance and let the other guys do the work. I think you have to be a certain level to get into the queue. So let's say you're going to go into tier 4, you have to be at least 68, right? Because this way you're forced to fight, get in there and fight. Um, but I still think the queue is like the group finder thing is a better thing that Blizzard should look at with this, because going forward, you're not going to be as good at certain characters in this game as other ones. So even if I wanted to go play another character right now in Season of Blood, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to get past Elias. All right. Now, I mentioned the Blood Harvest, which is great. You can get, you can move around the map, just follow it around. You can get, every time you get the blood lures, if you die, you don't lose them. This is huge because the hell tides still suck ass. Now, they improved the amount of wait time that you could get into the hell tide, so it's not as long. Problem is, though, if you die, you lose your cinders. And they have to do away with that, man. Like, you just have to. Like, if you're not gonna like make hell tides the same as blood harvest in terms of staying on the map, at the very least, you gotta stop with the fucking taking the cinders away from death, like, or half of them. You know what I mean? Because it's too frustrating to have to worry about that. Way too frustrating. Like, I don't care about dying. I just care about losing cinders and then wasting all that time getting them back. Don't want to do it. Now, there is an alternative way to do this that I've learned, but this is where the timer of the hell tides plays effect. So you could technically go from, if you're like, I'm 76, so if I want to drop down to tier 3 and go through the hell tide and pick up cinders that way, I'd have easier time with the creatures and the enemies there, and get up to around 300 cinders to go back into tier 4, find a chest which holds the living steel, which you need as a sorcerer to find the Oculus, or even if you're going to be a necromancer with a wand, there's a certain creature called the Beast of Ice, which is needed to fight that creature. So it's important that you don't lose cinders, because you only have an hour to complete this before it's like an hour wait or whatever, half hour, I can't remember now. But I just wish they would change it. If it was like Blood Harvest, it'd be perfect. Like, you just make it like Blood Harvest, right? Because then people can go and farm the fuck out of it and not worry about losing cinders along the way. Now, I'm kind of like, this is wishy-washy for me a little bit, because I understand part of it, some of it I don't. But the only way to upgrade anything on tier 3 is to go higher Nightmare Dungeons, but even that is not a guarantee. So you start getting gear. It doesn't matter if you're 3 or 4. And you start getting, like, even when you get to 4, I had to start swapping out some of my uniques and some of my legendaries for yellow items, because they granted more stat boosts, like when it comes to attack power, resistances, and et cetera, et cetera. So what you have to do is, basically you're going around, but you're picking up all these items they're either way lower than you, or one thing I've noticed some of the other streamers talking about is like the stats. Like, I can have three out of 4 stats can be good enough for my character, but then I'll have something that's like crackling energy for a sorcerer that uses electricity, which I don't do. Now I could go and have it enchanted away, but you have to get these things in the hell tides, the fiend roses. So already you're at a disadvantage when you want to do enchantments because you're relying again on the shitty fucking hell tides to do this. So until they fix that, it doesn't really fix the other problem. Uh, so it's really kind of a pain in the motherfucking ass with the hell tides right now and how they affect everything else in the game. Okay, now there's this other item that you pick up called obols, and this has been around since the beginning of the game. And right now, if you're high enough, you can hold about 960 of them. Now, before you can just like go in, you can pick up keys that you can pick up the secret chests that are out there, which is always nice. I usually stock up on those. But the reality is, obols are kind of useless. They don't really serve a purpose. I don't use them for gear anymore unless I'm like really low, like lower level, and I want to like try to like get a legendary out of it some way. But the reality is, they don't have any real value, and they kind of go to waste just sitting there. So I don't know what Blizzard's answer is going forward with this, but they probably need to figure out something else to do with these because either they're going to be just for keys, you know, for these chests, or like I don't think anyone really uses them for anything. Like, why would you even bother wasting the obols on gear that you know are going to be outdated like within one level? Now I know there's some stuff that you can use in the PvP area that's a little bit different, and they can give you a little more cosmetic stuff over there, but I don't know if that's something that I want to do either. Like, you know, that's just something I don't know. I think what I'll do is while I'm kind of talking to you guys, I'm gonna just play a little bit of Asmongold playing D4 right now, just in the background. I took the sound off, but you'll get an idea like some of the stuff that's going on and some of the stuff that I'm talking about here. So let's just kind of add a little bit of his playing in here while I talk. One other complaint that I've had that I think is very important is uh the drops that we get right now. It doesn't matter where you are, but as you level, you're still getting a lot of drops. Now I'm not like angry about the drop rates of legendaries and stuff. I think the more the better, but the problem that I have right now is that everything I get is lower than me. So in my opinion, and streamers might disagree, but my opinion is even if you're not going to change the stats to be perfect for each build that you have, so even if you're going to have to force us to do the enchantments to make them our way, at least make the gear that drops your level or higher. Like, there's got to be a way to do it, man. You can't keep dropping this shit that's like 600. Like, I'm on tier 4 and I'm still getting shit that's like 600 or 700, and I shouldn't be doing that. It's just junk. And unless we had a filter that, you know, allows you just to pick up higher level gear, uh it's kind of pointless. So like, we're getting a lot of gold now, so really, I mean, obviously you need materials, but at the same time, even if you get a bunch of legendaries that are 800, it doesn't mean you can use all of them. So you're still going to get the materials you want. I just think that it's important that your level or higher is what the type of gear you should get. I don't think that we should be getting anything lower than what you are. I think that's just a waste of time for everybody. Whether or not that's even in Blizzard's hemisphere of thought going forward, I don't know. I would love it if like Asmon or DM or even Hog would like comment on this. They kind of like just like for once, I'd like them to kind of look at one of my videos, not for any cloud, but just to get their opinions on what I'm saying. Like, am I out of my fucking mind or what? But it just I don't. For me. I'm a casual, so like for me to play this game right now, I'm like I said, I'm like 77, and I'm on tier 4. But even the stuff that I'm getting, whether it's regular nightmare dungeons, even if I run like right now, it's hard to run even a 21 dungeon for myself because for whatever reason I get blasted very hard. Um, Now obviously I'll probably get better as I get higher, but I think everything caps out at 85, I think. But either way, it would be a lot more worthy of my time that I put in because like I don't get to spend hours upon hours with the games. I have a day job. I have my YouTube channel that I do a lot of different other types of entertainment for. So the gaming time that I get to put in is kind of limited depending on what day and what part of the week. Today I'll have more time to dedicate to it a little bit, but I kind of been switching between my seasonal character and my eternal one because I want to see what I can do for my eternal character as well. But neither one has been like because of how high I am on level has been really rewarding in that sense. And this is the other thing about it is the unique drops, right? For whatever reason, on both my seasonal and my eternal character, most of the uniques I get drop on tier 3. I'm not getting a lot of drops on tier 4, and I don't know why that is. Um, I thought that they were supposed to kind of change that a little bit to where they would drop more. Now I know with these new bosses that you can go and farm them, but like uh Vashron or Ron, whatever his name is, like I got a couple of stuff through him on tier 3, but in tier 4 he's a lot harder to beat. So kind of, until I can kind of beat him on that level, and I still haven't like I don't know, like it's gonna be tough because in the end, I'm kind of dreading fighting the Beast of Ice right now, which I really want to do. I've only had one Oculus drop for me overall, and that's fucking sad, dude. Like my, I like to use a wand and a focus for my characters. I don't like stats, but I have like fucking 20 to 25 stats. I've got all this lower unique gear that I'm still holding on to. Maybe I should like destroy them and get the materials. I don't know. Maybe you guys can advise me if you even hold on to that shit at all. Um, but it just drives me bonkers because I get staffs all the time, but I don't want to use them. I don't like them. I like the speed. So the Oculus, I don't know why for a fucking wand it's got to be so goddamn rare that I can't even get it half the time. And I think that needs to change. So even if the Beast of Ice is going to drop it more, like you're making it so difficult to get into that. Like if you could fight the Beast of Ice on tier 3 like you could Vashan or whatever his name is, that'd be great. I would fucking spend time all day farming that shit. But Blizzard hates me because they hate sorcerers. And so they basically said, fuck you, Anubis. We're going to force you to have to go do it the hard way, which I really don't want to do. And like, it's just kind of, it's defeating. Like, I don't want, like, why do we have to have all this other bullshit? Like, just have levels. You know what I mean? Let me see what here we got. Oh, okay. So yeah, so like I said earlier, uh I've maxed out my board for both vampiric powers and the blood harvest board where you can get like certain drops after you gain certain levels within the blood harvest. So for you all who are like beyond like me even now, like if you're like 80 to 100 in season of blood, are you still doing blood harvest for any reason? Like, is there any reasons you would still do it? Are you still getting decent drops? Like, I've been doing some of those, still been doing blood harvest, but I'm not getting the drops. Like I said, most of the gear I'm getting is like lower than me and lower than what I have. So I mean, I have like some yellows and shit that are still higher than some of the legendaries. Like, it's just stupid. Don't understand it, dude. I don't understand that part of it at all. Um. Okay. Yeah, we talked about the Oculus. Oh, aspects. So I haven't even bothered right now with imprinting aspects. I don't know why exactly. I mean, some of the stuff that I have on my gear is pretty decent, but for the second time with the sorcerer, and part of this is my fault because I wasn't thinking, but let's say I have a piece of gear that's doing very well. So I have a focus that's level 48. You know, this is way back when I've upgraded since then, but I had a level like 48 focus, but the rest of my gear was like around 60. But I couldn't find a focus that was going to upgrade what I had. But I went to imprint from the base aspect, not anything that I pulled off or extracted. I just from the base. And I pulled it off and I put it on, and my attack power dropped like 1,000. Now, here's my problem with that. I still believe right now, although balance is important between armor, life, and your attack power still means everything, at least to me. It's the only time I've been able to dominate and kill things is when I have a high attack power. Resistances obviously will play a factor now because of, you know, what's expected in terms of, you know, countering the different things you'll face, like poison. Like poison, dude, just destroys me. Like I at one point I had like about 40% poison resist, and then I had to switch gears, and now it's like fucking 4. So if I fight like spiders and shit with poison, like it just starts sapping me dry. It's bad. But I've heard DM talk about this. So the aspects, Blizzard seriously needs to consider either as you if let's say you go and you take your gear around, I forget where you can start putting aspects on, about 10, 12 maybe. You start applying your aspects, right? And let's say you find some that are great, that work well. Obviously, they have the ability to extract them, but why not just do away with that? And why not just have it to where either one, you can upgrade your aspects in the hardcore area, or not the hardcore, but the ones that are built into the system that you pick up from dungeons, or as you're leveling, your aspects level with you. So rather than play this game of like, oh, if I apply this by mistake and I can't revert it, well, then I just lost like 1,000 hit, attack power, and for a player that's around 50 to 60, that's devastating, dude. Like you can't do that. And then you have to build your way back up, but you've already lost like 1,000 attack power. So it's a really dumb mechanic that I do not like whatsoever. And I know that, like I said, I knew that it happened before, and this time I wasn't paying attention, and that fucked me. So part of that's on me because that's just the way the system is designed. But it's definitely a gripe that I have that I think they need to really take it, because I don't think whenever you apply an aspect, it should never decrease your stats ever. Like I think that's the dumbest fucking thing ever. It should never decrease your stats whatsoever. I don't care what type of gear you have. It's dumb. It's a dumb mechanic to have. There's still a lot of people out there who talk about having more skills or more Paragon board stuff, like PoE and stuff like that. And I still disagree heartily with that. I don't think you need anything that complicated. If somebody wants to have a complicated game like Path of Exile, then go fucking do it. Go play it. Don't. If that's the case, Diablo 4 is not for you. Diablo 4 is for me. We like easier stuff. And it's not always that easy, obviously, because there's still issues that are in the game. But at least with this game, I don't have to be a rocket scientist to try to fucking figure it out. I'm not a diehard gamer. I've stayed at a number of times. I'm not like a professional gamer. I come in, as my once said, I come in and I want to just play, just have fun. That's all. But unlike D3, where you had the ability to choose your level of difficulty throughout the entire game, you don't have that choice here. So I'm forced to go into tier 3 and tier 4 if I want to get better gear. Now, if I could get a bunch of uniques on tier 2 and still level pretty fast and heavily, great. maybe I would do that. Maybe I would just decide to level at 50 and be happy about that. But it's not that way. And of course D3, even if you did like I did easy mode for my character on there, got to 70, and then moved my difficulty up to get better gear, and that's how it should work. But for whatever reason on Diablo 4, they decided they weren't gonna fucking do that, and so that's just how it is now. But it doesn't make a lot of sense in that regard. But I can still appreciate that the Paragon board is easy to follow. Um, you still have some cool glyphs and all that stuff. They added some, I think, in this. Um, Now, for those that are more in the know with season characters, so if you played season one, I did. I had 2 characters on season one, but I ended up deleting them because I was pretty frustrated with the leveling and all that was going on at the time. A lot of you were aware of that struggle with the leveling. They did increase the experience and the way to level much better now. But for those of you that had level 1 characters and you had the malignants and all that stuff, when you got switched over to the Eternal Realm, does your character hold on to those specific malignant powers? So, in other words, once I'm done with season 2, will my sorcerer with the vampiric powers remain, or does she lose that once she goes to the Eternal Realm? Like, I know I get to keep all the items I've got, but what about the powers that come with it? Is that something that's going to move along to the Eternal Realm? And furthermore, what does that mean if it does? What does that mean for my Eternal Realm characters? Because now you're almost at the mercy of playing certain characters that you like at this season. Like I know we had till January of this, late January for season 2, but what does it really mean for Eternal characters? I know we can still do things on Eternal Realm with our characters and still leveling's a bit better, but if my character from this season ends up being stronger than my Eternal Realm, there's no point in me keeping the Eternal Realm character because you only have 12 slots. So I don't know. It sounds like a lot of wasted time invested in these characters that if they don't, it's one thing if the season characters lose the vampiric powers, that's one thing. But maybe you guys who are more familiar with how it's going to work at the end will let me know in the comment section about how that's going to work. But yeah, I'm very happy about this season. I am. I know it sounds like I'm kind of just downplaying a lot of stuff, but at the same time, man, just it's got to be better in certain areas, and especially with Hell Tides, like because so much relies on Hell Tides and you succeeding. I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to make the hard choice of moving down to tier 3, doing that, getting my cinders a little bit easier that way, and then coming back up to tier 4 and trying to find those living steel, which I was using that interactive map they had from last season and all that, which was nice, but they don't seem to have the plugin for the living steel chest. So there's no way to know exactly where it is. So I did find like a map where they have like all the possible locations, but that means you have to run around and risk dying along the way. If I didn't have to worry about dying, I wouldn't care about running around trying to find them. Problem is, you die, you lose half your fucking cinders, and I just
I haven't got time for this Mickey Mouse bullshit.
Yeah, it's basically how I feel about all that, man. Like, it's just if I had to sit there with the devs one day and just sit there and talk about this, man, I just, it might be a little bit a little bit frosty.
Besides, there's no reason we can't be civil.
Yeah, I'll be civil. I will. Just let me talk to the devs. Come on. You guys gotta look out for me here. Any comments? And please, man, like look, guys like Asman and all that, man, these guys know these games really well. Uh, I don't expect them to pay attention to this video, but I really would like to get their comments on some of the stuff that I brought up, how they feel about it. Is it even a good idea? And then they can explain why it is or isn't. Like I don't, Quinn would probably just blast me full stop, but that's fine. The reality is these are things that I have concerns about, and I think they're kind of reasonable for a guy in my position that doesn't play full time. So, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you again for checking this out. Hit the like button if you would. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content. If you have any ideas, or games you want me to check out and maybe look into, I don't buy a lot of games right now, just because I am focused on this and just I play some free games, obviously, but give me some thoughts on what you think are good out there. I do love RPGs. Haven't got around to Final Fantasy 16 yet. I really want to play it, but I think it doesn't get released till December on PC. So usually I play on like Xbox or PlayStation, but mine's like Xbox One, so I don't think that it's even going to be for that platform. So I have to probably try it on PC and see how it goes. But from looking at the graphics from the guys that were playing it during its release, it looks amazing. But yeah, I'm still having fun here with Diablo 4. Certainly a step in the right direction. I just think they have some more work to do, and hopefully they start doing a little bit more with us. So with that, so thanks again for checking out this video, and we'll see you later here on the Middletown Radio Podcast.